Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I wanted to talk about 5G. So, um, Trump had a meeting the other day with some tech leaders, and it was a bunch of mobile uh, companies like T-Mobile and AT&T and T and companies like that, and they were talking about 5G and some other things. There were drone companies and things like that here too, but this was about emerging technologies. And right now we're using 4G, obviously. So I was curious as to what the differences are because I didn't really know. And let's listen to what the AT&T guy has to say, and then we can move on from there.
Hi, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. I likewise thank you for putting this together. We had a very good conversation this morning about the timeliness of this particular meeting because we're at a place where our industry has literally leapfrogged the world in terms of mobility broadband, mobile broadband. And we're leading the world, and as a result, Silicon Valley is leading the world in developing on top of this. And as we now move into a world of 5G, we're at a place where if we get this right, we probably lead the world for another era of mobile broadband deployment. And the people around this table in the telecom industry have invested more in the United States of America than any other industry since 2007. And getting this right just continues that kind of investment. In fact, this industry invested through the financial crisis, the downturn, invested right through that cycle, and we came out the back end leading the world.
If you have the money to invest when the economy is down, which a lot of these big companies can, that's the best time to invest because everything is cheap. And then eventually the economy recovers, and then you'll have you'll be set with a recovering economy and a new technology, and it's a great way to make a ton of money, and you upgrade it for cheap.
In mobile broadband technology. So it's an exciting time, and we're very appreciative of you putting this together.
Well, I just have to say about Randall, though, the job you've done at AT&T, because it's like two companies. You started, then it was made very different by government, and now here you are again. Really a top job, and I want to congratulate you. That's not easy to do.
All right, so then I just wanted to get into what 5G is or what the changes are going to be. So the main changes that they're looking for are data rates of tens of megabytes per second for tens of thousands of users, data rates of 100 megabytes per second, megabits per second for metropolitan areas, 1 gigabit per second simultaneously to many workers on the same office floor, several hundreds of thousands of simultaneous connections for wireless sensors, spectral efficiency significantly enhanced compared to 4G, coverage improved, signaling efficiency enhanced, latency reduced significantly compared to LTE, which is basically the 4G. And there were some debates on what 5G really is and what the vision of it was, and what came out of that was a super efficient mobile network goal, a super fast mobile network goal, and a converged fiber wireless network. So and that has to do with wave bands. So then we go back. And there was another part after I wanted to show you. It's at 2535. There's a drone thing I'm not going to show you. It's pretty funny because Trump looked not interested in it because it was just it wasn't for hauling things. It was just for, it kind of sounded like a toy because it was for surveillance and things like that. And I'm sure, businesses can use it. But it wasn't that interesting because Trump was trying to talk about drones that can carry people and stuff. It was pretty funny because some drones, that are out now can do that. And it was just, apparently the load that the drones can handle is a lot higher now and going up really quickly. So But anyways, back to this 5G. Let's listen to the presentation.
Pleasure. Randall?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about 5G technology in about 2 minutes, okay?
You got his attention. Everything you need to know in 2 minutes.
Like Jeff M. out various Internet of Things, drones, autonomous cars are going to require a whole different level of speed and wireless networks. If you come over here, this is a residential neighborhood.
This guy is real good, by the way. He took all the people that Trump can see and all the things he just heard about, and he put them in, like, everything you just heard. It comes off as like, if you want that to work, you need this. And it makes it seem like a large part of the economy is dependent on this. And basically the operation of society itself is highly dependent on this. And, he's a very good salesman.
If you want to get the kind of speeds required today, these lights are fiber. We have to take fiber to every one of these houses to get that kind of bandwidth. What 5G does, says forget about all that fiber out here. Get fiber to this small cell, which Marcelo is going to show you here. This small cell will broadcast this kind of bandwidth to all these homes, okay? You no longer need to run fiber in here. So you can have...
I find this interesting. He's talking about this, cell that broadcasts to, all these houses and stuff. Wait till you see what it is, how big this thing is. We've had, these huge cell phone towers in the past and stuff, and apparently we're not going to need those as much because of this little transmitter that they're going to show.
Speeds that are multiples of what the fastest cable technology can deliver today into the home with wireless technology. If you move into the city, what's happening? If you want to get that bandwidth in there, the same thing. Fiber run to every one of these buildings. It takes a long time digging up roads, bridges, and sidewalks and so forth. 5G says no longer. In fact, all you need are small cells inside the city, and we can light up these buildings here as well, right? And then as you move to Wi-Fi, we have Wi-Fi deployed in these buildings all over the place, so customers moving in and out of a Wi-Fi arrangement. You can see the old big cell technology sitting on top of buildings, broadcasting throughout the city. But down on the street level, the customer is being put on whatever network gives them the fastest speeds. This could be an autonomous car. It could be any number of things. And so
I'm no expert on this stuff, but it certainly seems like this is a huge, huge upgrade. Imagine if you could transport, natural gas or something directly to homes without needing to make pipes. Or I know a better one is imagine if you could bring water right to people's homes without having to dig these huge tunnels and stuff. Right now we have to dig up the ground for all of these for all these cables and stuff for internet. It's actually becoming a problem because the ground's becoming crowded with all these water pipes and gas pipes, and you have the internet, and you have electricity, you have all kinds of things. And so if we can make that less crowded, that in any way, that is a big deal. And in cities, it costs a lot to dig things up, to dig roads up, and traffic has to go different directions while it's getting dug up. And, this is a big deal, it seems like.
as the car moves, it gets moved back and forth between the networks into another.
And I'm talking in terms of infrastructure modeling. Of course, it's a big change in speed and things like that, too.
The 5G deployment, and you're getting these kind of multiple gigabit speeds throughout cities without all the fiber having to be deployed into all these buildings. Really accelerates it, makes us get to the market much faster.
So 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you couldn't have even imagined
Wouldn't have
this.
thought about it. No, sir, we would not have. And this is 2018. We're deploying this kind of configuration. The companies in here are. And in 2020, it becomes mobile. And so this handset will be getting these speeds.
So there has to be a tremendous construction saving too, ultimately.
It's a huge construction saving. You don't have to deploy all this fiber. And you see this little cell site here. You're going from deploying these big cell sites and towers to deploying these all over cities. That's what Marcelo is going to show you, what this technology looks like now.
So, Mr. President,
Now, remember, I was just talking about these big cell sites. Now, for big tower sites. Now look at what they are.
if I can summarize 5G,
Right there. That's what it is. They're just gonna put those in tons of different cities, and I'm guessing they'll need multiples in cities, and then they'll transmit, and then as you go, it just transfers you to the fastest speed. It's sounds pretty cool.
is $275 billion of investment in the next 7 years, the creation of 3 million new jobs, and a contribution of $500 billion to.
By the way, 275 billion, 3 million new jobs. That's the reason that ratio is low is because these are high paying jobs, or pretty good paying jobs at least. They're not your minimum wage jobs. These are jobs people can live on
To the GDP of the United States.
and raise a family
What is
on.
different between 4G and 5G? 4G, those were enormous towers that looked quite ugly. We're going to move to deploy millions of this, hundreds of thousands, and then millions of small cells all over the United States. The problem that we have is it takes
Okay, so yeah, right there he said they're gonna put millions of these all over the United States.
us 1 year to get a city to give us a permit, but it takes us 1 hour to install them. And unless we can install them real fast, we're going to lose that leadership that we have today. Those huge towers, all it is now is just a small cell. You put this on the.
Did you hear what he said? A year to get a permit and an hour to install. That's ridiculous.
The utility poles, you put in the cable strands, and that's all we need in order to enable. So when people ask about 5G, it is
But they're mostly local permits you need?
basically we run into trouble with cities, municipalities, counties. Each one has its
Now watch this. Trump, he's just hearing about this, and his brain is thinking, and he's always willing to make a deal. He's always, so right here, he's getting into problem solving mode, and there's going to be a really cool interaction here where Trump, in front of all the cameras and everything, right there, I don't think I've ever seen this, where he just starts going into, problem solving mode and starts asking questions and coming up with answers.
own idea of how much they should charge, how long should it take.
How much is a federal permit? How long does that take?
Well, this mainly will go down to the cities.
Local.
We're working quite well with the FCC.
So the Trump's trying to ask, could we create a single federal permit and push that through, and then you can put it up everywhere? And this guy just keeps talking about the local permits, and what he should have just said no. But I don't think I don't know if he's misunderstanding, or doesn't want to say no, but or if there's a reason he wants it on the local level. For some reason, he's not answering Trump directly.
There's some cities that takes 30 days, there's some cities that takes 2 years, so it's impossible to deploy. So this is why we need to fix this.
And that is a big problem. I know there are some people out there that think regulation in general is good, believe it or not. And if, this just shows that regulation is not necessarily inherently good. Why, for something that takes an hour to install, that little box there, they're talking about that it could take up to 2 years to get approval for that. And they want to put millions up all over, or at least hundreds of thousands up all over the country. And this will give internet to rural areas that have crappy internet too, where you're constantly dropping in rural areas. It's really important to get this technology out. In some areas, you still have no internet. And we need to get internet to the entire country. And this is just mobile internet, but that goes a long ways. And these companies need to go to every city in the United States and get it approved. And a single city can take 2 years. Obviously, they can apply simultaneously, but this is very problematic and costly, because say, a third of them get approved 6 months in, a third of them get approved a year in, and a third of them get approved 2 years in. Obviously, they're staggered throughout the entire time, but for the sake of ease, well, they're going to be approved all over the country, and then they have to go in and install them all over, and they're going to skip over areas they could install that haven't been approved yet. Then, a year in, they have to come back and do it all over again, and then 2 years in, they have to come back and do it all over again. Although, obviously, it's even worse than that, because it's like one here, one there, one here, one there. So imagine if you could just do it through the entire country all at once, and if all these cities would just all instantly approve it all at once. It would be so much cheaper.
And that's what 5G, when everybody talks about 5G.
Well, we can do a recommendation to the cities all over the country to get it going, and Gary, maybe they can move it faster, because this is truly a great process. But why don't we do a very strong letter of recommendation so they can get it done much faster?
See, right in front of the cameras, right in front of this guy, while he's talking to Trump, and Trump's already telling someone to go do it. I mean, that's why this administration is moving at lightning speed, because they don't wait. It's not like, okay, let me go back. And if someone, didn't like the idea, if there was some reason, someone could always tell them, hey, let's not do that letter because this, and this. But, it just shows you how quickly he gets on things.
And we're doing that all over the country. You know what we're...
Shot clocks. The FCC at one time put in place to deploy these kind of cell sites.
Yeah.
Shot clocks. You have 180 days to get a permit done, or say no permit. Something similar is going to need to be done.
Well, we're doing that with highways. It would take sometimes 15 to 20 years to get permits to build a small road or a highway. And we are going to bring it down, trying to bring it down.
15 to 20 years to get a permit to build a small highway or a road. That's ridiculous.
In 1 year, maximum 1 year. And you have the same thing. This is much easier.
So
This is really much easier, believe me.
the US is a leader in 4G. We launched 3G. And every country, China, Europe, is basically streamlining the process to get there faster.
So this will be going into many other countries. By other companies, by you, by whom?
No, we only operate in the US, and our goal is to basically, we want the US to lead 5G because of the speed, because of the job creation.
You will if you can get your permits.
Absolutely.
China has much less trouble getting permits. Okay?
The centralized government. Thank you, Mike. Great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Gotta love the handshake. Look, he must really like this guy. This guy got a nice handshake. It wasn't an initiation handshake. Did you see that? I mean, let's go back to that other guy's handshake.
Get your permits.
Absolutely.
China has much less trouble getting permits. Okay?
The centralized government.
Watch it. He loves doing that for some reason. But, so there you have it. That's all I wanted to show you. I'll put the wiki in the description if you want to learn more about 5G. Some of it's over my head, to be honest, but basically it'd be more stable. Infrastructure would be far better. It doesn't actually have to go into the ground, and you don't have all these lines going in the ground, and you can get rid of those big cell towers. You don't need to keep putting those up that are ugly. And just overall, it's got better speeds. It's got superior technology in general, using different bandwidths and stuff like that. So it's more efficient. Because if you have superior speeds, but you can't harness that in efficiency, then it's not. You need the efficiency to go along with the speed. So, anyways, have a good one, guys.